big selling point of Solana is the fast transactions. But I'm curious at what your take is on, are fast transactions really something that precedes a great user experience? So much conversation goes on around just it's simply faster and maybe gas fees are low. But how does that transaction speed end up being a better experience for everyone buying, selling NFTs, and also creators of these projects on Solana?
Yeah, really good question. I think there's two points that I'll make, and then there's very clear, I think, implications of those 2 points. So there's basically like what people talk about normally with Solana is that it's fast and it's cheap, right? And I think both of those things are really important for two different reasons. The speed thing is, I think, a user experience thing, and I think it definitely makes a meaningful difference when a user is using like crypto rails for the first time and using like non-custodial wallet infrastructure for the first time. If they come in and they try and perform an activity, whether it's to like buy a token or buy an NFT or you know lend some assets or something, if the user experience is not fast, that in itself is sort of like detracts from that entire onboarding experience and the success of that onboarding experience. Um, but it's not the entire sort of factor, but it's one of the factors. And then I think the implication of a chain being cheap is I think actually more profound than the fast thing. I think the fast thing can probably be overcome and just naturally will get better over time. I think the cost of things is really important from our point of view because it just means that no matter what kind of user you are, so say you're an end user that's buying or selling on the marketplace, or you're a creator that's thinking about launching an NFT collection, if it's cheaper, then it's actually like you'd be more willing to actually experiment. And this is true across many dimensions, right? It's like if you have this vision that a lot of things will become on chain and a lot of social interactions will become, formed in DAOs and things like all that kind of stuff, right? And all of that is, I think, more likely to happen when things are just cheaper. So we've seen this to be fairly true. Like this thesis, I think, has played out quite well in the last 9 months that at least we've been around.
Hmm.
That a lot of these guys that are coming in to build on Solana very, very intentionally chose to build there. Because number one, they were finding that like the user experience could be better, and then number two, they found that because the barrier to entry from a cost standpoint was lower, it's like, oh, it's conceivable that others would actually use this, right? Some good examples are like there's apps that or products that allow you to like form DAOs on chain that is just kind of hard and pretty difficult to do on a high cost chain, or like gaming related use cases. It's kind of again, lots and lots of transactions, lots of items. That again is really hard to do on like a really high cost chain. So I think those are the implications. It's like user experience plus willingness to experiment, and willingness to experiment leads to then more and more types of NFTs being created, which I think is really important from just a general ecosystem health standpoint.
Yeah, it makes me think of Shopify a little bit, just in terms of the cost to set up a marketplace, a business, a storefront on the internet became so low and so easy. I guess the easiness is maybe the fast standpoint, and the cost of setting up a Shopify store, is 20, $30. And then all of a sudden you have everything built in and you're ready to sell some digital product. And so that led to a boom in online creators and businesses too. So I definitely that cost of experimentation point you bring up is really interesting, and I wonder if just the innovation in Solana is going to outpace the innovation happening on Ethereum over time as more builders like navigate to that. So are you
Yeah, it's a really
is
it's a really good analogy, actually. Very, very good analogy. And like a couple of like really interesting stats just to bring up around this is like number one, there's somewhere between like 50 to like 80,000 NFTs being minted daily on Solana, which is it's nothing to sniff at, right? It's a
yeah.
lot, and we're still early. We're still in like the 0.01% of all creators kind of thing, or maybe maybe even less. So we're like very, very early on that front, and there's that many NFTs being created. And then the second thing I think is I think Solana has 10 to 20 times more transactions daily, and I think that's just a good proxy for like what people like the degree to which people are just trying things and doing things.
And when you say 10 to 20 times more transactions daily, that's from the entire blockchain perspective, not necessarily just in NFT trading.
Correct. But even within, I think that's like a representative across all the different types of products too. I think we see roughly, yeah, I think somewhere between 30,000 to 50,000 daily active wallets on Magic Eden, and that's I think pretty meaningful for a marketplace that's only been around 8 9 months. Um, so to give you some sense of like the degree to which people are willing to actually just try it out and start using it, whereas the barriers to entry I think elsewhere are just a lot higher. So yeah, we're really excited. I think the thesis of like experimentation has definitely been playing through, and yeah, we're really excited about what's still to come.
You're listening to the Unstoppable Podcast, the go-to place for everyone to learn about the latest innovations in Web3, NFTs, and the decentralized web. Welcome to the metaverse.